Hello friends and welcome. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on Introduction to Cereal Technology. This lecture deals with different cereals that are grown in the world and will be discussed under following subheadings. First will be the introduction about cereals. Next, we will discuss the different types of cereals. Then will be the important cereals of the world. Next, we will be discussing the structure and chemical composition of cereal grains. And finally, we will be discussing the processing of cereals. Now, we will start with the introduction about cereals. A cereal is generally defined as a grass grown for its small and edible seed. All cereals belong to monocots and members of the grass family, that is, Gramineae. Cereals have been the most important sources of plant food for humans and livestock. Probably, these were the first crops to be domesticated and cultivated in an organized manner, which we today call as agriculture. Cereals form the main bulk of the food supply consumed by mankind, especially in developing countries, as they are an inexpensive source of food, energy and protein. They are also a good source of micronutrients such as calcium, iron and vitamins of group B. They are used directly or in modified form. Cereals are also used as animal feed and hence converted into meat, milk and eggs. They are also used for industrial purposes. The principal cereal grains grown in the world are corn, rice, wheat, sorghum, barley, oats, rye and millets. A new cereal of considerable interest is triticale, which is a cross hybrid of wheat and rye. Different cereals grown under different agroclimatic conditions, for example, sorghum and millets grow well in semi-arid conditions, deep water rice in arid regions, while rye and oats require cold climates. Most cereals are thin-stemmed grassy plants, but maize, sorghum and pearl millet have thick stems more similar to sugarcane than grass. Cereal crops provide the farmer with straw for fodder and thatch, as well as grain for the family and market. There are many reasons why cereals are such important crops. Many of these grasses are available in the different world climates. The northern regions have barley and rye. The temperate regions have wheat and the tropics, and warmer temperate areas have rice and maize. Cereals also have a wide range of soil and moisture requirements. They can be cultivated with a small amount of effort and give a high yield. The grains are relatively easy to handle and store because of their low water content with high food value. Cereals contain a higher percentage of carbohydrates than any other food plants, as well as a considerable amount of protein and some fats and small amount of vitamins too. Now, let's try to learn about the types of cereals. First is the cereal grains. There are different types of grains found within the true cereal grains, which are from the botanical family Poaceae, including wheat, oats, rice, corn, barley, sorghum, rye and millet. Within these groups, there are also varieties such as farro, freekeh, emmer and spelt, which are all types of wheat, as well as new grains like triticale, which is a mixture of wheat and rye. Number second is pseudo-cereal grains. The pseudo-cereal group are not part of the Poaceae botanical family, in which two grains belong. However, they are nutritionally similar and used in similar ways to true grains. Pseudo-cereals are increasingly being used in the manufacture of new forms of breads, flatbreads, crisp breads, pasta, breakfast cereals and snack bars, as well as on their own as alternative to rice, pasta and kosas. Now, let us discuss the important cereals of the world. Number first is rice. Rice, that is Oryza sativa, crop originated in Asia and has been a staple food there since the Ice Age in the north. The geographical site of original rice domestication is yet not sure. Actual rice grains and husk have been excavated in India that were more than 4,500 years old, and in China more than 5,000 years. Number 2 is wheat. Wheat, that is Triticum aestivum or Triticum durum, is the earliest field crop used for human food processing. The cultivation of wheat reaches far back into the history, as it was predominant source of food for humans. The precise origin of the wheat cultivation is unclear, but it is thought that man has been cultivating and processing the wheat for at least 12,000 to 17,000 years. Number 3 is corn or maize. Corn or Zea mays is native to the America. Corn originated in Mexico, evolving from the wild growth teosinte. Archaeological evidence suggests that corn was domesticated and grown as early as 5000 BC in Mexico. This is the largest crop grown in the world. Number 4 is sorghum. Sorghum or sorghum bicolor, also called great millet, Indian millet, milo or dura. The plant likely originated in Africa, where it is a major food crop and has numerous varieties, including grain sorghums used for food, grass sorghums grown for hay and fodder, and broom corn used in making brooms and brushes. Number 5 is barley. Barley or Hordeum vulgare is among the most ancient of the cereal crops. The original area of cultivation has been reported to be in the Fertile Crescent of Middle East in present-day Lebanon, Iran, Iraq and Turkey. There is now considerable evidence that barley was under cultivation in India and China considerably later than in Middle East. Barley played an important role in ancient Greek culture as a staple bread-making grain, as well as an important food for athletes who attributed much of their strength to their barley-containing training diets. Number 6 is oat, that is Avena sativa. Domesticated oats appeared relatively late and far from the Near East in Bronze Age Europe. Oats, like rye, are usually considered a secondary crop, that is, derived from a weed of the primary cereal fields of wheat and barley. As the cereals spread westwards into cooler, wetter areas, this may have favored the oat to its domestication. They have a lower summer heat requirement and greater tolerance of rain than other cereals such as wheat and rye. Now, let us discuss the next part of our today's lecture, that is structure of cereal grains. Cereal grains are the fruit of plants belonging to the grass family Gramineae. Botanically, cereal grains are a dry fruit called as caryopsis. The caryopsis fruit has a thin, dry wall which is fused together with the seed coat. Kernel structure is important with respect to minimizing damage during grain harvest, drying, handling, storage, milling and germination, and in enhancing nutritional value. There are a few important structural features that the cereal grains have in common. All the cereal grains are plant seeds and contain 3 distinct anatomical portions: a largely centrally located starch endosperm, which also is rich in protein, protective outer layers such as hull and bran, and an embryo or germ. The seed portion of cereals consists of numerous components which basically include 3 parts: a seed coat or testa, also called as bran, storage organ or nutritive reserve for the seed, that is endosperm, and a miniature plant or germ. The fruit tissue consists of a layer of epidermis and several thin inner layers a few cells thick. The aileron layer, which is just below the seed coat, is only a few cells thick but is rich in oil, minerals, protein and vitamins. Starch and proteins are located in the endosperm, which represents the bulk of the grain and is sometimes the only part of the cereal that is consumed. Starch is arranged in the form of subcellular structures called as granules that are embedded in a matrix of protein. The developing endosperm contains protein bodies which become a continuous phase as the grain matures. There is generally a gradient of more protein and less starch per cell from the outer to the inner region of the endosperm. Now, let us discuss the chemical composition of cereals. Cereals are of plant origin which yield edible grains consumed directly or in modified form as major part of diet and also as feed to livestock. Rice and wheat are most important cereals forming part of human food. Number first is carbohydrates. In adult diet, out of the total calories that are recommended, mostly are derived from carbohydrates present in the cereals. Carbohydrates constitute 80% of the dry matter of cereals. Whole grains provide about 350 kilocalories per 100 gram. Cereals provide 70 to 80% of the daily energy intake of largest section of the population in India. Cereal grains are largely composed of starch, which is a complex carbohydrate. Other carbohydrate constituents present are cellulose, hemicellulose and pentosan's, which constitute dietary fiber. Second are proteins. The protein content of cereals varies as they contain 6 to 12 gram protein per 100 gram and can easily meet more than 50% of the daily protein requirement of an adult. Cereal protein consists of albumin, globulin, prolamine and glutenins. The quality of cereal protein is lower than the animal protein because cereal proteins lack the essential amino acid that is lysine. Among cereals, rice protein is of better quality than others. Hence, cereal should be taken in combination with the legumes or milk and milk products. Number third are fats. Cereals are generally considered to have low fat content as determined by either extraction, which represents only free fat. Recent studies have shown that cereals contain much more fats if bound fat is also taken into account. The total fat thus may vary from 2 to 5% per 100 gram. Cereals like wheat, rice and barley contain 1 to 1.7% fat. The fat content is higher in maize, that is 3.6%, oats, that is 4 to 6% and bajra, which is 5%. Germ and bran of the grain contain higher concentration of fat than other parts. In general, cereals contain triglyceride of palmitic, oleic and linoleic acids. They have also some amount of phospholipids and lecithin. Recent researchers suggest that for reducing calories from fat, people should be encouraged to replace fat with cereals as they are low fat and high in fiber content. Moreover, cereals contain the polyunsaturated fatty acids which are healthier. Number fourth are minerals. The ash content of cereals varies from 0.6 to 3.3%. The husk of cereal grains is rich in minerals. Rice husk contains about 22.5% ash content, which is 96% silica. In cereals, calcium and iron are not present in good amount, but the grains contribute significantly due to fairly large amounts of cereals consumed daily. Among cereals, rice is poorer in these two minerals as these are lost during milling and polishing. Millets contain good amount of minerals and fiber. Rye, oats and ragi are very good sources of calcium. As the main storage form of phosphorus present in cereals is phytin, hence it affects adversely the bioavailability of minerals, especially calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc and iron. Number fifth are vitamins. Whole cereal grains are important sources of vitamins B. Removal of bran from cereals, polishing and refining of these grains, especially rice, reduces B vitamin content to varying degree depending upon the extent of refining and polishing. Therefore, high extraction wheat flour, that is maida, and pearl millets also contain less amount of B vitamins. Oil from cereal germ is in vitamin E form. Number 6 are enzymes. A number of enzymes, namely Amylases, proteases, lipases, and oxidoreductases present in cereals are important from the processing point of view. During germination and fermentation, these enzymes become active and influence the digestibility and availability of nutrients. Now, let us discuss the last part of our today's lecture, that is processing of cereals. All cereals need to be processed. Any cereal cannot be consumed without processing. Each type of cereal requires a specific post-harvest treatment. However, there are certain general principles that apply to most of them. Cereals undergo a number of processing stages between harvest and consumption. This chain of processes is often referred to as total post-harvest system. The post-harvest system can be split into three distinct areas. The first is the preparation of harvested grain for storage. The second, which is referred to as primary processing, involves further treatment of the grain to clean it, remove the husk or reduce the size. The products from primary processing are still not consumable. The third stage, that is secondary processing, transforms the grain into edible products. Primary processing involves several different processes designed to clean, sort and remove the inedible fractions from the grains. Secondary processing of cereals or adding value to cereals is the utilization of the primary products, that is whole grains, flakes or flour, to make more interesting products and add variety to the diet. Secondary processing of cereals include the following processes, that is cooking, fermentation, baking, puffing, flaking, frying and extrusion. Now, let us discuss the process of decortication. Millet and some other coarse grains are usually dehulled and subjected to different treatments before consumption to improve their sensory and edible quality. It has been reported that the food uses of finger millet are confined to flour-based products because it has not been possible to decorticate millet similar to other cereals. This is mainly due to millet grains being smaller compared to other cereals. The decorticated millet could be cooked as discrete grains, same like rice, to get the final product with soft texture within 5 minutes. The pasting and the duff properties and also some of the functional characteristics of the product indicated its versatility for diversified food uses. However, the decortication of hydrothermally processed finger millet caused significant changes in the nutrient content. The various steps in the process of cereals can be studied as: number first is milling and sieving. Millet grains are usually milled by a non-motorized grain mill that cranks by hand or another non-electric method, especially in rural areas for household uses. However, a manual grain mill that has been attached to a gas or electric motor by a pulley system can also be used. Number second is germination or malting. Germination or malting of cereal grains may result in some biochemical modifications and produce malt with improved nutritional quality that can be used in various traditional recipes. It helps us to preserve many food products, provide a wide variety of flavors and significantly improves the nutritional properties of the raw material. Number third is popping and puffing. This is a traditional food processing method used for the preparation of expanded cereals and grain legumes to prepare ready-to-eat products. Number fourth is soaking and germination. Soaking of grains is a popular food preparation technique used for reducing anti-nutritional compounds such as phytic acid to improve bioavailability of minerals. That is all about today's lecture. Hope you have understood it well. Thank you very much and goodbye.